most disrespected person in America is the black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the black woman. The most neglected person in America is the black woman. And as Muslims, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us to respect our women.
I had to start the podcast off like that because it really does ring true that the most disrespected woman and person in America is the black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the black woman. And the videos that I'm about to show you today will prove just that, sadly. So let's get into it.
The community is outraged after an attack on a mother and her 2 young children. You can see in this video here where it happened in the South Deering neighborhood. And we are blurring the video because the people involved are all minors. Our Sharday Gray is live outside of the school where this happened. Sharday, we're learning this is not the first time that this specific group of kids attacked someone.
Exactly, Marie. The large group of parents were outside of the school calling for accountability. They say bullying has been a problem at the school, but now it's crossed the line into violence. The mother, who is also the victim, has been at the school all day talking to authorities.
Damn! Crack, damn!
Disturbing video, all caught on camera. Children dragging a mother and her son to the ground. We've blurred the faces of the people involved because they're minors. Police say the 33-year-old mother and her 9-year-old son were walking near 106 and Bensley in the South Deering neighborhood when the group of kids started chasing after the mother and her children, calling them names and taunting them. Both the mother and son were taken to a hospital. Word of the attack spread quickly on social media, causing outrage among many parents.
I couldn't sleep. I was traumatized. I could not sleep. I couldn't believe it.
Shanice Davis lives in the neighborhood and says she recognizes the attackers.
This is not the first time the kids have done this. Just talk around the streets that these kids have pretty much been raising themselves and they have not been held accountable. They have vandalized cars. They have harassed adults and children.
One day after the attack, demonstrators showed up at Orville Bright Elementary School after some posted on social media threatening to harm the children behind the attack. Several police officers showed up blocking the entrance of the school to protect kids inside. Chicago Police District Council member Joseph Williams was also talking with them.
We're going to make sure that this school leadership steps up and that they put a safety plan in place, that they put any plan they need to put in place to make sure that these babies feel secure. Bullying should have a zero tolerance behind it.
We reached out to Chicago Public Schools about this incident and allegations from parents that their children were bullied by the same group of kids. CPS says they're horrified by the attack and they're working closely with the mayor's office, CPD, CHA, and other city departments to provide additional support for the family. Reporting live in South Deering, Sharday Gray, CBS News, Chicago. Marie.
Thank you, Sharday.
Okay, so that was the horrific video, or parts of it. But when I think about this situation, it really hits home for me because the woman has sickle cell and she's a mother. I have sickle cell and I'm a mother. And there is nothing worse than feeling like you cannot protect your child. And she couldn't protect herself, let alone protect her child. And it's really sad that these children are picking on her and her son because she has sickle cell and because of the way she walks and the way she talks. These children are literally demonic. And I've heard, some people saying even the situation that these kids are in is horrible. That's why their behavior is horrible. And that's understandable. But these children need to be corrected and punished before they end up in the system for real. They need to be corrected and punished immediately. I do not think that they necessarily deserve to go to jail, because jail does not help. It only makes it worse, and it will only end up traumatizing those children and literally creating a criminal out of them. Because if they didn't learn criminal activity before they went into jail, they're definitely going to learn criminal activity after they go into jail. And that's even in juvenile hall. I have watched a ton of documentaries about these alternative schools and these alternative programs where they literally just abuse children. So I don't think personally that they need to be locked up, but their parents damn sure need to be locked up, and they need to be going to some kind of program where they can learn the consequences of their actions and take accountability for what they did to this lady and her son that they did not deserve. And some of the people that are like taking up for these children, how would you feel if that was your family member that got jumped on simply for existing, simply for having sickle cell, a disease that she cannot control, she did not contract, she did not ask for, she did not cause herself, but yet she's being picked on by children for it. It literally just blows my mind. It hurts my feelings, and I have cried a couple of times. Literally, I have cried a couple of times over this situation, bro. That's how much it bothers me. I truly do pray that the mother and her children heal from this situation and are able to get justice. There has been a lot online, speculating that the help that she was supposed to receive didn't come. And people have been going back and forth with that. I didn't really get into all of that. But as the sickle cell community, we do need to come together around each other and rally around this warrior and help her. We truly do need to support each other. If no one else is going to support us, we need to support each other. So if you are able to, please donate to this woman, and if she has a GoFundMe, donate to her GoFundMe, if you are able to.
First of all, no mother should suffer at one of the most important moments of her life, when her baby is born. I think that's why this story resonated with so many people this week. In a moment, you're going to hear the story directly from Mercedes Wells herself. She showed up at a hospital in Indiana expecting to get some help to deliver her baby. But after several hours, she was escorted out of the hospital. Her family recorded as she was leaving.
Okay. You want me to push the car?
The family says 8 minutes after leaving the hospital, a baby girl was born. The hospital says they're now taking action. In a new statement from Franciscan Health Crown Point President and CEO Raymond Grady, he announced that first, the physician and nurse involved in Mercedes' care are no longer employed by the hospital. He also said cultural competency training has now been mandated for all labor and delivery staff, and all pregnant patients leaving the labor and delivery unit will be examined by a physician before they leave the hospital. Grady called the videos difficult to watch, and he wrote, "We must fix what failed in our hospital so that no one experiences what happened to Mercedes Wells." Mercedes Wells is with us now, along with her husband, Leon Wells, and their attorney, Cannon Lambert. Welcome to you all. Mercedes, let me start with your reaction to the announcement from the hospital that the doctor and nurse directly involved with your care are out.
First of all, it took a while, to get them to respond to us and to acknowledge what the facility had done to me.
And when they say that the doctor involved in your care is out, I read that you don't even know who this doctor is. You never met a doctor.
Exactly. Never seen her face. No doctor ever spoke or came into my room.
So let's start at the beginning here. It's about midnight. Your contractions start. Tell me the story as you arrive at the hospital.
As I get to the hospital, they come down about 10 minutes later. First of all, I called ahead. I called maybe 20 minutes ahead before we got there. And when we got there, I still had to go through the questioning of, who my doctor was and all the details. When they came and got me, I was already 15 minutes apart in my contractions. So I was already in active labor. She checked me. She told me that I was 3 centimeters dilated. My contractions began to get closer and closer as the day went on. She checked me again, and she said she felt the baby's head, but I was still 3 centimeters after 6 hours of labor. Then she told me I had to be relieved from the hospital.
And so when they told you you had to be released from the hospital, talk to me about the moment of conflict where you knew, because this is not your first child, this baby is coming. And they said, no, you have to leave. Talk to me about that conversation.
Yes, the nurse told me that I had to be discharged because I wasn't further along in my centimeters. And even though she could feel the baby head, I wasn't dilated more than 3 centimeters, but I know for a fact that had to be untrue because I couldn't feel her hand at that point when she checked me.
And Leon, you're there. You know that your wife is about to have this baby, and they say you've got to go. What's going through your mind?
When they said we had to go, I didn't want to be there. Like, I know we wasn't wanted. I was concerned about the safety of my wife and my child as they're saying that, even though I know my wife was in active labor. So I immediately, got myself together. I was very upset. But by God's grace, I was able to, keep a calm head and try to get my wife to the next location,
Well, the baby came before you got to that next location. Tell me about that, Leon.
That was a very stressful moment. I don't have any prior doctor experience. I no training. We in my truck, and it was just a very scary moment. I mean, I literally we was driving down the road and I saw my wife. My wife is, pulling her pants down. She's like, "Babe, I gotta push. And as she's pulling her pants down, I see my child's head, and I was kind of freaking out at the moment, but I kind of gathered myself. And when I gathered myself, I literally kind of, I don't know. I just thought I needed to help. Like, I literally kind of helped and put my fingers between my child's head and I pulled as she pushed, and my baby came out.
And like she said, this brings awareness to just how bad it is in the medical system in all fields of medicine. Like, it's ridiculous. The bias and the mistreatment that Black women and Black men receive in particular is disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And it's very inhumane. And if I were them, if I was that mom, no matter what policies they changed, I would still be suing the shit out of them. Because they really put her life and her baby's life in danger. What if they had a car accident on the way to the other hospital because he's having to deliver his child in a car, in a unclean environment? And this is like an open wound. And you have your baby coming out into a filthy car. Like, not that their car was like just a disgusting place, but it's just not a place to be having babies. Like, you're susceptible to so many things, so many infections when you have, like, and that's why they rush the placenta out of you after you have the baby, because you have to close that wound back up. And even after birth, you're still susceptible to getting infections. So it's like, she was in a lot of danger, and she deserves compensation for her pain and suffering and for the position that she was put in by those doctors and nurses at that hospital. Point blank, period. And now we're going to move on to the last topic.
We're getting some new insight on this video seen by millions of people around the world. A woman claims her daughter in labor was delayed care at a hospital in Mesquite, and she captured the incident on camera.
She sits down with our Brittany Moncrief to break down what she says happened.
But we want to be upfront and warn you, some of the video may be difficult to watch.
When shock turns to disbelief, and disbelief turns into anger, this soon-to-be grandmother's camera became her truth.
Because I had film and I showed the world what my daughter went through, what my grandson went through.
She have give birth in a chair, that's what it is. I can't take her upstairs without.
It was the video that they believed.
When's your due date? Right now. Is your due date?
And now millions around the world have seen it too. Monday night, November 10th. Kashina Manuel says she was at home with her daughter Kiara when her water broke. She says they called ahead to the hospital, taking this picture, time-stamped at 11:43 p.m. while on their way. Kashina says Kiara's contractions were coming faster.
She went from 4 minutes to the car ride 2 minutes apart.
She says they arrived at Dallas Regional Medical Center in Mesquite just before midnight and saw two nurses at the emergency room entrance.
On the assumption they are waiting on us, when she realized my vehicle wasn't an ambulance, she told me that space was for ambulance only.
Kashina says she was then told to drive around to the opposite end of the hospital, and once getting there, she ran inside for help.
I was told there should be a wheelchair outside with the vending machines.
But she says there wasn't a wheelchair and a nurse had to bring one.
I said, I need assistance with getting her. Are you not going to help me? And she politely said no and closed the door.
Instead, Kashina says a security guard saw her and went to her car to help bring Kiara inside.
When we opened the door, she was on all fours and she was screaming.
Once Kiera was inside and after Kashina parked her car, she went into the ER.
I see her parked on the side, isolated, in pain, by herself, people behind the desk working as normal, as they didn't hear her. I walked up to them and I was like, what are we doing? She's in active labor. She is about to have that baby. And they said, we need the paperwork.
This picture at 12:15 shows them at the emergency room registration window.
And I look over there, she had the paper in her hand, arched like a cat, screaming. And I'm like, are you really wanting us to get this? And she's in labor. And that lady looked at me and she said, the quicker you sign, the quicker we can get her in the back.
Kashina says Kiera signed the paperwork and was taken to the triage area.
How many times have you been pregnant?
3.
This is your 3rd pregnancy?
Yes.
You have 2 babies
It's
at
in
home?
my
You have 2 babies at home?
She was just weakened.
Who's your doctor?
Lang is her doctor.
She had no power, no control over her body, her words. She was trembling.
When you found out you was delivering at this hospital, your ass should have changed doctors.
About 30 minutes after Kashina says they arrived at the hospital, Kiera is taken to labor and delivery at 12:29.
Oh, damn. As soon as they pulled it shorts off, one of the nurses, she just froze. And at this point, she grabbed his head that filled her hand. He was not crowning, he was birthing. And she begged my daughter not to move.
At 12:35, Kiera's son was born.
It wasn't about my daughter, her pain, and worst of all, my grandson who had no voice. He wasn't even considered. I was in the emergency room. And it was paperwork over life.
Watching that video and hearing that mother scream in pain, it brings tears to my eyes, but it also enrages me at the same time. And it makes me think about some of the experiences I had as a mother, during labor and delivery, and how dangerous it is to be going through all of that while you're in active labor. Like, the baby is literally coming out of her and she is having to be held in a space where she cannot get comfortable, in a freaking wheelchair, waiting for this woman to give a damn and have some urgency and act like she gives a damn, and waiting for this nurse to do her job. Like, the closest we get to death as women is childbirth. And anything can happen during childbirth. What if that baby's umbilical cord was wrapped around its neck, and the whole time while you're procrastinating getting her to a room, like, this baby could be suffocating to death? Like, you just don't know. And it is very, very dangerous. And I had previously reported on my TikTok that the woman got fired, and I heard that from a nurse on TikTok, but apparently that isn't true. So this woman may very well still have her job after putting the lives of a black mother and child in jeopardy. By the grace of God, nothing major happened. Okay? By the grace of God, nothing major happened. But this is why we have been calling out the medical system for a very long time in the sickle cell community. We have been naming the hospitals, and hell, sometimes even naming the doctors and nurses, in an attempt to spread awareness, not just for us, but for everyone. And it's sad to see, but this is just more proof that telling your story is powerful, especially when it comes to medical neglect as a patient. And remaining silent only allows the abuse to continue. So anyone that has an issue with you recording what you go through in the hospital, or talking about what you go through in the hospital and sharing your experiences, whether they're good or bad, anyone that's got a problem with that, they literally need to step. Like, you don't need those type of people around you, because literally silence can kill you. Or your silence could help the predator obtain a new victim. So speak out if you have ever had any medical issues, and especially if you have proof. Do not be afraid to share your stories, because it may just make a difference. And you see what happened in the Mercedes Wells situation. They are really taking that incident to heart, and they are really making the necessary changes, okay, to see that never happens again. And that's kudos to that hospital. Not that they deserve it, but because it should have already been in place, but kudos to them for actually handling it and actually terminating those, physicians and nurses that were involved. And that is how powerful your story could potentially be if you are willing to share it. I know one thing. I'm going to share my story always. I will not let anyone silence me. I refuse. Okay? So this is my breakdown of all these situations. All right. Thank you. If you made it to the end of this podcast episode, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. You are the real MVP. Okay? Don't let nobody tell you different. Okay? And of course, please like, comment, subscribe. All right? And I will definitely see y'all in the next video. Peace.